Correct.
But you look at Texas State, they have. So there's things to look at on both.
At the right time, as you like to say. Got to stay peaking, and it's got to happen right now.
Let's go ahead and get right into it. So if you're new to this, welcome into college baseball. 16 national seeds host regionals. We expect Texas to be not only a top 16, but a top 8. 64 teams automatically in the tournament field. In the regionals, 4-team double elimination format. Winners advance to the Super Regionals, a best-of-3 series. Winners advance to the Men's College World Series in Omaha. 8 teams, 2 double elimination brackets, 4 teams each, winners to the finals, and that is a best-of-3 series. So I believe we're ready to go ahead and hear the beginning of the selection show. Matt Schick, Mike Rooney, and Kyle Peterson on the call for ESPN.
And we start with the number 1 overall seed, and no surprise, it is UCLA, the Big Ten regular season and tournament champs, led by Rock Chalowski, Big Ten Player of the Year. They're the number 1 Nashville seed for the 3rd time, and the first time since 2019. They will face the St. Mary's Gales, the champions out of the West Coast Conference. Yeah, it didn't have to wait long, boys. They are back-to-back in this field. Moving on down. The Cal Poly Mustangs, the champions out of the Big West. Larry Lee in his 24th season. The league's hit leader, Alejandro Garza, leading the way there for the Mustangs. And they will face the Virginia Tech Hokies. John Sheff in his 9th season. The 12th tournament appearance for Virginia Tech. One of the best fielding teams in the ACC. What do we need to know about the number 1 overall team?
So we'll go ahead and stop it there. Keith, we'll start with you. So UCLA, the number 1 overall seed, no surprise there, 51 wins this season. St. Mary's as the 4 seed, and then Cal Poly, the 2, in Virginia Tech from the ACC, the 3 seed. Guys, your thoughts on this first unveiling?
I'm a little surprised at Virginia Tech because they are doing quads. Guys, you haven't heard of this.
Yep.
They're ranking the teams 1 to 64, and you're trying to pull. Obviously, you're trying to stay close geographically, but Virginia Tech's not anywhere close geographically to UCLA. So an unusual pick there. UCLA is the overall number 1 seed. There's no question they played that way all season long. It's just sort of interesting how they selected the other 3 schools to go there with Tech getting that nod. I'm sure they're thinking, wow, we got to go all the way across the country. And so that's interesting to me, but UCLA doesn't surprise any of us, does it?
No, I don't think so at all. And you're right. When you start looking at these quads and how they're trying to make sure proximity is playing a great location, and for Virginia Tech to have to go all the way across the nation, that is something that is probably going to play a big part of everything that's going on. Also, we also want to point out that in that number 1 seeded UCLA, Will Gasparinos had an unbelievable year, but he is going to be out for the first game of the tournament after they set an egregious slide at home.
It was back at third base.
At third base, and it was like, well, come on, man. It wasn't that
bad. He lowered his shoulder just a little bit there, but an ejection, Keith, and a suspension.
In today's world, that's where we're playing. When I was playing, his teammates would be giving him high fives coming back to the dugout. So that's just the difference in the game now.
So UCLA, the number 1 overall seed, their 7th appearance in the last 9 NCAA tournaments. How about the number 2 overall seed? No surprise here.
The number 1 overall seed. We will release these in order. Number 2 overall seed. We head to Atlanta and Georgia Tech. What a season. James Ramsey in his first season replacing Danny Hall. They win the ACC regular season and tournament championship. The first team in the ACC to do that in 13 years. They haven't been to Omaha in 20 years. Their road will begin against the UIC Flames, the champions out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Jake Busson leading the league with 18 home runs, and they got the championships to prove it. Moving on down in the Atlanta Regional, the Citadel. The Bulldogs won the SoCon. Michael Gibson, absolute star. The SoCon two-way player, their 9th SoCon championship. They will face the Oklahoma Sooners. Head coach Skip Johnson, fresh off his 300th win. They're at OU in his 9th season.
So no surprise there, guys. Georgia Tech, the number 2 overall seed. Illinois, Chicago, the 4 seed. The Citadel, the 3 seed. And then our first SEC team, Hardge, Oklahoma, at the 4. Your thoughts on this side of the bracket?
I like this for Oklahoma because Oklahoma can pitch. I mean, one thing Skip is going to be able to do is he's going to make sure his guys are throwing strikes. They got some guys that are effectively wild, as we like to call it, Keith, where you can't dig in there too long because you never know where the next pitch is going to be. But I think Oklahoma, this is going to fit well for them. But Georgia Tech is one of those teams that everybody's been talking about all year. The catcher behind the plate, his ability, he's going to be a high draft pick coming up, and they just play well as a team.
Well, first of all, it's the year of the catcher in college baseball, without a doubt, because there are 5 or 6 really good ones. They're going to go high in the draft. Georgia Tech, in my opinion, is the number 2 overall seed. I think the committee got this right. I think all season long you were looking at it, watching what they were doing. The ACC is very top heavy, but there are 3 or 4 teams in the ACC that can play with anybody, and they won that league regular season and the tournament championship. Oklahoma does go in. The other thing for Oklahoma, in the last 6 weeks of the season, Oklahoma swung the bat much better than they did it in the first half of the season. So it's a team coming in swinging the bat a little better. They've got to find somebody at the back end of their bullpen. They have struggled late in games to hold on to games. So see what happens in that deal. But, OU happy, I'm sure, to be in.
Yeah.
Maybe not that happy to go play the number 2 seed.
So number 1 overall seed, UCLA. Number 2, Georgia Tech. Do we stay in the state of Georgia for the number 3 seed?
What a season it has been in the Peach State. Wes Johnson and the Dogs, regular season and tournament champs from the SEC. The nation's leading home run hitting team, led by the SEC Player of the Year, Daniel Jackson. They will face the LIU Sharks out of the NEC. Joseph Durso with a grand slam in the champ game this weekend. Their 5th tournament appearance and their 3rd in the last 5 years. Who else is going to Athens? The Liberty Flames out of Conference USA. Tanner Marsh, Conference USA Player of the Year, led the league in hits and runs scored. Friendly logo there for you for Liberty. And they will face, there they are, the Boston College Eagles, the 13th NCAA tournament appearance for the Eagles, one of the highest stealing teams in the nation.
So there we have our first SEC team, and of course it's the SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs. A fantastic season for the Dogs, Keith, and they get a Boston College team in their side of things that at one point this season was kind of floundering, but got back in, and here they are in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and actually you're playing well enough at one time. 2 weeks ago you were thinking they might work themselves into a top 16 national seed. So that's an interesting matchup for me, is you're going into Foley Field in Atlanta, in Athens, where the ball jumps. It's going to take a team that's got enough offensive power to disrupt what the Bulldogs do. So far of the teams that we've seen, the Bulldogs, in my opinion, in that matchups that they got right there, I think they're in pretty good shape to get to a super. Now that's just my gut feeling.
No, I'm with you on that. And especially, too, again, Wes Johnson has that team in a position to play some lights-out baseball. You talked about their power, but he gets guys that throw strikes that ain't afraid to go up there and challenge some guys, too. So I look at that team in Georgia being right where they need to be. And to your point, looks like their path to a super regional is pretty good.
Yeah, it does to me too.
So the first SEC team off the board, Georgia, as a number 3 seed. We expect the 4 seed to also beat the Southeastern Conference. Let's find out.
In the nation, they tested themselves. They got enough wins. They're a top 8. They will face the Milwaukee
It is Auburn,
Panthers,
by the way.
the champions
Auburn is the
out of
number 4
Horizon
overall
League.
seed.
We haven't seen them in this field in 16 years. Joey Spence with a game-winning walk-off 2-run shot to win the Horizon League championship. Who else is there? NC State is there. Elliott Avent announced his retirement. Savvy move, coach. He will go out in style in the NCAA tournament, the 36th tournament appearance in the 10th in the last 11 seasons. And yeah, the pool party, how are we going to celebrate? Splishing and splashing. The UCF Knights are in.
So the Auburn Tigers, the number 4 overall seed, they're the 3rd SEC team to make it in the tournament, the second top 4 host. They have Milwaukee as the 4 seed, who come in with a 25-31 record, and then NC State and UCF, the 2 and the 3, Keith.
Well, let's start with NC State, obviously, with their head coach retiring. A little bit of surprise, I got to tell you. I thought that was a team close on the bubble. That doesn't bode well for some other teams down the line that may be on the bubble. Just thought I'd tell you, because NC State was a bubble team to me, no question. Obviously, what's going on in Auburn, Alabama is they've got a brand new ballpark that they've really fixed up. It's hot. It's going to be a great regional. It will be a hopping situation. I do like what the matchups though here for Auburn too. It looks really good for me. Their path. Now you still got to go win games, but their path looks very comfortable, if I could say it that way, for the War Eagle.
Especially when you're the host team and you know what that energy is going to be like, it changes the whole dynamic for the other teams coming in.
Sure does.
They're not used to playing in places
not like this.
And you've been there. You know what it's all about. And that's why I think for what it's worth, Auburn is a team to pay attention to, and they're in a good spot at the number 4 seed.
Yeah, I just did work the Big 12 tournament, and I just saw UCF. UCF is a physical ball club. I mean, they will go in. Now, they could be dangerous because they can hit the ball in the ballpark. So it'll be interesting in Foley Field, because it's a launching pad. I would love to play there.
So let's find out the number 5 overall seed. We expect Texas to be somewhere in this area, possibly a 6 seed. Do they jump, or do they jump to number 5, or do we stay in the ACC?
Let's step back into the ACC, shall we? North Carolina Tar Heels, runner-up in the ACC tournament, a top 8 national seed for the 11th time. That's tied for the 3rd most by any team. Great pitching staff as well. They will face the VCU Rams. How about the A-10 champs? Head coach Sean Thompson helped lead this team as a freshman on the field back in 2015 when they got to a regional and got to a super. He's the youngest head coach in Division I at 30 years old. Congratulations to the Rams. ECU, wash, rinse, and repeat. The most regional appearances without a trip to the College World Series. It's their 36th tournament appearance. They got it done with the win over UTSA in the American Championship. MOP of the conference tournament, Ethan Norby, a pitcher. Watch out for him, and watch out for the Tennessee Volunteers. 7 straight appearances for the first time in program history. A pretty error-free, clean team in fielding for Tennessee. It's going to be a tall task for them to get out of Chapel Hill.
Hardge, this is interesting. So North Carolina, the number 5 overall seed, they draw VCU as the 4, but how about this? The 2-3 matchup includes East Carolina, who is a fantastic baseball program, but then Tennessee as the 3 seed.
I'm excited for Tennessee, first and foremost, because Josh Elander is a kid that grew up right here in Round Rock, somebody that he worked his way up and found a way to become the head coach of Tennessee. There was times when people were all over him and wasn't sure what the program was going to be. For him to get into a regional, I'm happy for them. I think it's going to be that moment of playing clean baseball for a lot of these teams in this region right here, in this area, because if every team can go out there and play well, clean baseball, it's going to change the way the tournament is going to be looked at there.
You're absolutely right. And the other part of this, Tennessee has to swing the bat. They catch the ball. They do other things. They got to find a way to score some runs. Chapel Hill is a unique ballpark. It's a great crowd, but it's a ballpark where you got to make plays. A lot of big foul space area.
Exactly.
I've called games there. So guys, I'm just telling you, you got to play great defense. That is a plus for Tennessee. And the other part of that is their matchup. It's going to be one of the fun first-round matchups, Tennessee, East Carolina. Tell me that ain't going to be fun.
Exactly.
That's going to be a good one.
2 great programs with 2 great fan bases. That'll be a lot of fun to be. I wish I could just tailgate for that game. Well, we've been waiting to find out where Texas will end up last season in Jim Schlossnagle's first year in Austin. They drew the number 2 overall seed. Will they earn another top 8 seed in Jim Schlossnagle's second season?
This weekend, the number 6 national seed, deep in the heart of Texas, the Texas Longhorns and head coach Jim Schlossnagle. It's the 65th appearance for the Horns, the most of any team. Dylan Volantis leading the SEC in ERA, top 5 in Division I. They will open up against the Holy Cross Crusaders out of the Patriot League. Patriot League champs, let's go. They are somewhat excited. C.J. Egri, Patriot League Player of the Year, stole home in the champ game as well. Almost like they knew they were in or something. We move on down. Who else is headed to Austin? Tarleton State Texans. Congrats, the WAC champs. Their first appearance since moving to Division I. A nice little watch party at Buffalo Wild Wings and Stephenville campus. Congratulations to the Texans. They will face the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. Andrew Checket's the head coach. Their 15th appearance in this event. Jackson, Florida, Big West Pitcher of the Year.
Well, there we go, guys. The Austin Regional Longhorns, the number 6 overall seed. They draw the Patriot Conference tournament winners, Holy Cross, and then the 2 and the 3. How about this? The Texans of Tarleton State, for the first time, they will go dancing as the 2 seed and as the 3 seed. UC Santa Barbara, and you heard Matt Schick talk about him. Jackson Flora Keith, he may be the best pitcher in all of college baseball. And the big question I have, guys, is do we see the Gauchos throw him first on Friday instead of a potential matchup between Dylan Fulantis and Jackson Flora, or do they try and just go ahead and get that first victory in pitch Flora to start?
Well, if I'm looking to get to the next round, I'm holding my bullets close to my vest. So I'm holding him in my pocket and see if I can't win a ball game without him. And I think Texas will do the same thing. I think it could be one of the best matchups. If both teams take care of business on Friday, I think Saturday could be one of the best matchups in the country.
I love that. I love that. And I love the fact of what you said. Sometimes you got to hold on to it to make sure. You said it. You got to win game 2. You got to win game 2, because if not, there may not be a game 3. So you got to try to find a way to get it done. So I'm with you with that thought process. I'm excited to see what this Texas baseball team is going to do, though, folks, because if you start looking at who they played before, they lost to Tarleton here. Yes. I think that still does not chap them.
Oh, yeah. That's
exciting for Tarleton, because now in Tarleton's mind, we can play here. We've already done it.
Yes,
We've
we have
already proven it. So let's come out here and fight. And then, of course, you talked about UC Santa Barbara, the pitching staff, and what they have there. And Holy Cross, I mean, we don't know a lot about them, but when you have champion by your name and you get a chance to get in because you won your conference tournament, then you got to respect them and see what happens there. So it's a big-time regional for the Austin Regional.
Yeah, you mentioned that game against Tarleton State. I believe both you guys were on the broadcast call for that.
Yeah, we were.
That was a shocking 6-1 loss on a Tuesday night.
Well, they came out, played good ball, got good pitching. I mean, they ran, but the thing about it is Tarleton ran 4 different pitchers out there. It wasn't like they rode one guy, so they showed the same thing. So that's a ball club that's played well. I mean, and they've won a tournament. They punched their ticket. They're used to this ballpark. There's a lot of really good stuff for the Texans coming into this tournament. I still like Texas in this tournament.
Absolutely.
But I will tell you this. It's going to be interesting. Coaches make money, and they make good money. This is one that you got to make a decisions. What decisions you're going to make right here is going to be important.
You're going to earn every
penny.
Yes,
you are.
You're going to earn every penny.
We will break down this regional later on in the show. Remember, Craig Way will be joining us. He's going to visit with Jim Schlossnagle one-on-one. We're going to get his reaction live from the Hall of Fame Club on the 40 acres right now. But let's get to the number 7 overall seed in the NCAA baseball tournament.
We go to the number 7 national seed, and we stick in the SEC. Alabama gets a top 8. Rob Vaughn in his 3rd season after coming over from Maryland. 29th tournament appearance. Justin LeBron leads the SEC in stolen bases. They're a top 8 for the 4th time. They will take on Alabama State, the champs of the SWAC and also the home run champs of the league. Their 3rd NCAA appearance. Their first since 2022. Who else is headed to Tuscaloosa? South Carolina Upstate. The Big South Tournament champions, head coach Kane Sweeney. Back-to-back appearances in their first 2 appearances. Took down Longwood in the finals. They will face the Oklahoma State Cowboys and head coach Josh Holliday out of the Big 12. 13 straight tournament appearances, 2nd longest active streak. Look out for Colin Ritchie, 29 bombs.
So there's the Tuscaloosa Regional. As expected, Alabama, the number 7 overall seed. They will host at least for the Supers if they advance that far. Alabama State, the 4 seed. And how about this, guys? USC Upstate, the Spartans, who we saw come to Austin, got run ruled twice. Who would have thought they would be here in this position? They'll take on Oklahoma State Friday afternoon.
My first thing that jumps off the page is obviously Alabama deserves to be here. They have played. They early in the year in the conference play, especially, they were Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But then they found a way to start leveling it out and became very consistent down the last 15, 18 ball games of conference play, and they've taken care of their non-conference schedule, deservingly so to be a top 8 national seed. But I got to tell you, I just, again, going out and covering the Big 12, had Oklahoma State, and Josh Holliday and his ball club playing, as Josh said, we were all over the place at the first 30 games of the season. We didn't have an identity, didn't know where it was going on, and then all of a sudden, Brigham, a veteran guy, starts to swing the bat well at first base. The guy in center field is as good a player as anybody in America, trust me. They're good behind the plate, and they've got 2 guys coming out of the bullpen that have been sensational down the stretch. Alabama's got their hands full with Oklahoma State.
Well,
I'm throwing that out there.
No, I love that, because Oklahoma State is a team that throughout history has been tough. And they know about these types of moments, so it's nothing going to surprise them. And Josh Holliday's done an unbelievable job there and continues to get his team in there. But I am impressed with USC Upstate and what they were able to do to be able to get their head beat in pretty good here against Texas. They had one night, though. They scored 9 runs, and they put Texas up against it. But for them to go out there and be able to get into the tournament and really – show what that was about, and then they can learn a lot from that too, from being that bad early.
Well, it helped them to come to Austin.
Exactly.
I mean, there is no question they got better to come into Austin.
Exactly.
And Coach Slosh told us, said, look, this is going to be a team that's been in the tournament, maybe in the tournament this year. And by the way, they are.
Up to 5 SEC teams, 4 so far hosting. Got a feeling it's going to go up to 5 regional hosts with the number 8 overall seed.
See times, see some networks to keep an eye on. The final top 8, the Florida Gators out of the SEC. Nearly 800 wins for Kevin O'Sullivan. Their 41st NCAA Field of 64 appearance. Top 8 national seed for the 12th time. Aiden King, SEC Pitcher of the Year. The Rider Bronx out of the MAC. 16th NCAA appearance. PJ Craig, that stat base, MVP of that conference tournament. 12 Ks and 16 innings over his 2 starts. He's helping lead the Bronx to this field of 64. Who else is in? The Troy Trojans are in. The second most losses for an at-large since this format began in 1999. Skylar Meade said, I don't need to pitch this team in. We're getting in, and they are. And they will face the Miami Hurricanes. So Sunbelt versus ACC. Alex Sosa, the catcher, transfer from NC State.
So the final top 8, Florida will be the final possible super regional host from the top 8 there. But the big thing, guys, is Troy, right? Now, NC State was one of those bubble teams that got in. Troy now in. Bad news, I think, for the other Texas schools who are on the bubble, UTSA, Texas State, and TCU.
It does. It does not bode well. I did not see Troy getting in this field. So that is interesting. It is a matchup being in Gainesville. Miami and Florida, the committee has a sense of humor, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love it too, because think about what that Miami team has done since the change when JD Arteaga started taking over that team. And now this team continues to roll. This is a guy that played for Miami, that understands what it's like to be a Hurricane. And now he's getting the Hurricanes back into the regionals and with a chance to face an old nemesis the Florida Gators.
I can't wait for that, man. That'll be a great matchup.
So the top 8 national seeds here. Number 1, UCLA. Number 2, Georgia Tech. Number 3, the Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4, the Auburn Tigers. At number 5, the North Carolina Tar Heels. The Texas Longhorns, the number 6 national seed. Alabama, number 7. In Florida, number 8. I think that's all chalk, guys.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is chalk. And I'm telling you, number 9 is going to be a school 90 miles east of here. I'm just throwing that out. I don't know anything, but I just feel like that's going to happen as well. So Yeah, I couldn't argue with any of the 8. I don't know about you, Hardge.
No.
I mean, it would be hard-pressed for me to think if anybody else could have made their way into that. I mean, obviously the Big 12 has played better down the stretch. You've got Southern Miss. I still think it's got a great chance. Well, they are going to be one. Because it was already been announced. But I think those are a little bit of surprise for me. And then 3 ACCs somewhere, or 3, Big 10 schools somewhere. We already have one in UCLA.
Yeah. Well, let's get the number 9. Let's find out if Keith's prediction is correct. Will it be Texas A&M or will it be outside the state of Texas?
NCAA Selection Special rolls on. We release the first half of the field. Time for the second half. The number 9 national seed, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, out of the Sun Belt. Their 22nd NCAA appearance. The champs out of the Sun Belt. Back-to-back times hosting a regional for the first time in program history. Their first game will be against Little Rock, the champs out of the Ohio Valley Conference. Head coach Chris Curry. This team put a scare into LSU last year, advancing to that regional final. Who else is headed to Hattiesburg? Jacksonville State. Stay cocky. Their first NCAA appearance since 2019 when they won the Ohio Valley. Their first Conference USA title run, ruling Liberty this past weekend. They will face the Virginia Cavaliers. The Who's in the house. Chris Pollard in his first season. 22nd appearance for UVA. Eric Becker recently returned from a hand injury. Really key for them. AJ Gracia, big-time home run hitter, all ACC.
So Keith, Southern Miss, the number 9 seed, a bit surprised there.
A big surprise for me. I mean, they were in. We knew they were in, but I thought they were going to be somewhere in that 13-14 category as far as a host. So, you look at the Fun Belt, does a nice job of, getting a team in, and also getting a team in. We all thought Coastal, not Coastal, it's Southern Miss. It gets that top, and where they're at, they match up pretty well. I mean, you're looking at a pretty good matchup at number 9 with Florida. I mean, that's going to be the winner of those 2 regions is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, the committee does play a lot of jokes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they let you think that one group is in and they're going to be at a certain area, but then they're also like, let's try to move some things around.
Yeah.
So if we can get one of them super regionals, it will be one to move the needle. So yeah, it is kind of interesting. They get the walk-off home run, grand slam, and now all of a sudden they produce themselves in the 9 spot. So that's big time. That's huge.
So Southern Miss, the 9 seed, that means Texas A&M still on the board. Will they be the number 10 overall seed, or will it be someone else? Let's go ahead and find out.
The number 10 national seed, Florida State. Their 62nd appearance, second most all time. Wes Mendez, ACC Pitcher of the Year, headlining the outfit in Tallahassee. They will face the St. John's Red Storm. Storming through that Big East tournament, their 11th Big East championship. Second appearance in the last 3 years. Liam O'Leary, the junior right-hander, getting it done on the bump. Their 39th appearance in school history. Elsewhere in Tallahassee, the Northern Illinois Huskies, the champions out of the MAC. They haven't been to an NCAA tournament since 1972 when they were called district tournaments.
Yep.
Welcome back. They will face the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They're teal and they're spectacular. 22nd NCAA appearance, top 5 in the nation in sack bunts and hit by pitch. Let's go.
So Florida State, the number 10 overall seed, guys, I can't help to think, but there's a chance now that number 11 seed may be Texas A&M. You guys said the committee have jokes. They may have one more for us.
I think they may have one more for us. There's no doubt in my mind that I think about that. This is an interesting matchup. As you look at it, Coastal Carolina, I mean, obviously had some pitching woes at the beginning of the year, got some of their guys back into their rotation and started playing pretty good ball, and everybody thought they were going to be a host. And now they go on the road to Tallahassee. Interesting matchup right here. They're 1-2 two right here.
I
Pretty
love
interesting
that.
to me.
I love it. I love the fact that this could be Coastal Carolina and Florida State playing for a chance to go and host the Super Regional or get into the Super Regional. But more importantly, Coastal Carolina is a team that you can't sleep on.
Nope.
You know, we were looking for that big matchup early in the year at not Globe Life, but when y'all were at Dyken Park. And their starting pitcher, Fluky, was out.
Yeah.
Now he's back. He's able to throw, and I can't wait to see what these matchups are going to play out with these pitching staffs.
Yeah, do you holding? There's the question.
Gotta hold it tight. Gotta hold it tight.
Do you holding?
So the next seed is the 11th seed, and that's important because remember, Texas is the number 6 overall seed. Their region will match up against the 11th seed in the Super Regionals. I think back to softball, right? The last 2 years in softball,
yep.
Texas has been matched up against the Texas A&M Super Regional. Now, unfortunately, the Aggies have not gotten out of their own regional, so Texas has not had to face them yet in the Supers. But there's a chance here. A&M, who we believe will be a top 16 host, will they be the 11th seed, and could we possibly get a Texas A&M showdown down the line? Let's find out.
The regional this weekend, as will the number 11 seed. We head out west. The Oregon Ducks just came up short, losing in extras to UCLA in the Big Ten Tournament Championship game. The home run leading team in the Big Ten, closing in on 100 on the season. They're in the field for the 13th time. They will take on the Yale Bulldogs. Al Peterson's backup school, 7th NCAA tournament appearance in their first since 2017. Ryan Ham getting it done, closing in on 100 wins in 4 seasons. Who else is headed to Eugene? Washington State. For the first time in 16 years, the Cougars are back. Champs out of the Mountain West. Nathan Choate getting it done in his 3rd season. Took down top seed San Diego State in Arizona to get the win. They lead all of Division I with 24 triples. Oregon State. Hello, former Pac-12 rivalry. 43 wins on the season, their 25th tournament appearance. Lead Division I in ERA, 2nd in the nation in fielding.
So there we go. Not going to College Station. The 11th seed going to Eugene, the Oregon Ducks. And you guys talked about it, Hardge. There's Oregon State, that nasty 3 seed that'll be in the Eugene Regional. Yale, the 4 seed, and Washington State, the 3 seed. Hey, it's a Pac-12 reunion out there in Eugene.
Hey, we talked about it. Committee has jokes. Why not make everybody get back in what it used to be in a Pac-12 matchup? This is a good matchup for so many different reasons. Going back to what Keith said about Oregon State and what their abilities are, you start to look at Washington State, a team that has had a good history of baseball, and he's got good talent, but now they're back to where they're able to consider themselves consensus regional participants. So to me, that matchup and the Texas matchup is something that the super regional sets up good if Texas can handle what they're supposed to do here.
You look at it, you always look at the opponents. There's 7 opponents in your future. I mean, you obviously got to take care of the first 3 first, and then you'll have 1 to take care of that'll come out of the other side. But as I talked about, Oregon State, a very good ball club, folks. They can pitch it. They can catch it. They do little bitty things to do that. Oregon has impressed me with what they've been very consistent all season long. But I'm telling you that those 2 schools do not enjoy each other's company. Is the best way that I could put it. So that could be really fun once they get into the end of this, trying to decide who's going to win that regional in Eugene. 55 miles between Corvallis and Eugene should be interesting. See those matchups.
The Civil War.
So as we turn to number 12 overall seed, we're still waiting on Texas A&M and possibly 1 or 2 Big 12 schools, maybe another SEC school, maybe 2, maybe another Big 10 school. Let's find out the number 12 overall seed.
12 seed. Back to the SEC. We're going to College Station. Texas A&M. Their 39th NCAA appearance, hosting a regional for the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons. Gavin Grahovac, 19 home runs, first team All-SEC. Who will they face? The Lamar Cardinals, the Southland champions, their first appearance in 16 years. They've been on the cusp recently. They finally made it. finished second in the Southland in the regular season. They won the championship in front of their home crowd at Vincent Beck Stadium. Texas State is in, out of the Sun Belt. This was one of those teams, perhaps on the bubble and on the cusp. The home run leading team in the Sun Belt gets into the field, and they will face the USC Trojans out of the Big Ten. It's been a long time since they've made back-to-back tournament appearances. In fact, since 2002.
So, Keith, there it is, Texas A&M, the number 12 overall seed, and we were wondering, okay, there's possibly going to be at least one bubble team in the College Station Regional. Will it be UTSA? Will it be TCU? But it's the Texas State Bobcats.
Well, this is great. I am, for Coach Trout, I am elated, and their program. I think they turned the corner in the month of May and played better baseball, got people's attention, and then they went to the tournament and got people's attention. And obviously you're happy that they're getting in. Obviously, they're not coming to Austin. I think Longhorn fans are probably happy about that.
Definitely.
And then on the other side, but they do get to travel and go to Olson and Bluebell Park, and it should be interesting. That is an really interesting regional right there. When you listen to it, you got Texas State, Lamar, who has finally found a way, because they've been right on the cusp and you won their league multiple times, but hadn't been able to win their tournament to get the automatic bid.
Right.
And now they're in, and then you got the Aggies.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about the number 2 seed.
Exactly. I mean, the humor of it all, when you start to look at it, and you look at how they've got everything lined up, and you got Texas A&M hosting, but you got all the other schools that have something to say about it, and they've played each other. They understand it. They know these are the types of moments that you go into these ballparks and it doesn't shock you anymore.
Right.
Because they have so much time against each other in these ballparks. I love this region. I think this one might be one of my favorite ones because of the teams that got in.
Sure.
I like it.
All right. So there is the regional. Now let's head to the next regional. We're still waiting possibly on 2 more Big 12 schools, maybe another SEC school, but will we see another Big 10 school? Let's find out.
Used to be an assistant there. Will Bolts and the Nebraska Cornhuskers make room for Daddy. Nebraska is in. 12th NCAA tournament appearance, hosting a regional for the first time since 2008. Out of the Big Ten. How about out of the Summit League? South Dakota State Jackrabbits, their first appearance in 13 years. Rob Bishop in his 10th season took down Oral Roberts in the winner-take-all conference title game. Who else? Arizona State is in, out of the Big 12. Their 43rd appearance, 6th most by any school. Landon Harrison, or as we call him, Harry Bonds. Big 12 Player of the Year, 28 home runs on the season. What a fun regional this is going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska. My goodness, the Ole Miss Rebels are headed to Lincoln, and Mike Bianco, Judd Utermark, atop the Ole Miss home run record books.
So there's the number 13 overall seed, the Nebraska Cornhuskers hosting the Lincoln Regional. South Dakota State, the 4 seed. Keith, a team you've seen, Arizona State, and also Ole Miss as the 2 and 3. You heard Matt Schick say it there. This will be a fun regional for many reasons. Yeah,
and Haymaker, I call it Haymaker. Haymarket Park ball will be flying out of there to right field. 340 is the power alley in right center. And you're going to bring in an Ole Miss club that has 3 guys in the middle of their lineup that can hit the ball in the ballpark. USC is – a lot of people were talking 2 weeks ago, them being a host. So this is a up for grabs, even though Coach Bolt has done an outstanding job and Nebraska is back to being Nebraska. I've gotten to see them 3 or 4 times on TV, not in person.
Right. But
the way they go about playing, they're a very good ball club, but there's 3 teams here that can win this. Yeah. There's 3 teams that could win this particular regional.
I love the fact, too, because I know that you got a chance to see Arizona State and their outfielder with all the home runs. And he's
Harrison.
The Harrison Bonds. That's what they're calling him, Harry Bonds.
He's a good-looking player. He takes good at bats, too. He's not a guy that is just a big, wide, free swinger.
Yeah.
Arizona State is going to go as far as their pitching will take them. I'll just tell you that right now. They're offensively, they're as good as anybody.
But the pitching,
they've got to find a way.
This is when you find out about your squad too, Cam. When your pitching is on, it doesn't matter what the other guys are doing. If you got good pitching, you got to play clean baseball. You got to do situational stuff. All the big barrels and all that goes out the window. You just got to try to win the ball game.
All right, Big 12 now. It's looking at you. Got had Arizona State. We've heard Oklahoma State. We've seen it. Central Florida has been in it. So we have 3. My count right now is 3, right?
Yep.
Have I missed one here?
No, you haven't missed one yet.
All right. So we're still hanging out there looking for Kansas and where West Virginia and Kansas are going to fall. And they've already been listed as hosts. So we know they're in. Still haven't heard anything about TCU yet either.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that one last bubble team. Troy, NC State are in, as is Texas State. What does that mean for UTSA? What does it mean for TCU? Also Kentucky. Mercer on the bubble as well. 3 national seeds up for grabs. Who is the number 14 seed?
The KP compound, he will be headed there. Who's headed to Mississippi State? Well, we know Mississippi State will. That's how this works. Brian O'Connor, the head coach there in his first season, hosting a regional for the 16th time, and the first time since winning a national championship in 2021. Lipscomb Bisons, Atlantic Sun Tournament champs. Head coach Jeff Forehand, their 4th NCAA appearance. Back-to-back extra inning wins to claim the title out of the A-Sun. Congratulations to Lipscomb. Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns and head coach Matt Deggs out of the Sun Belt. A bunch of top quad 1 and 2 wins this season. Came up short in the conference championship game against Southern Miss. Was not enough to get them out of the field. They'll be a tough out, as will the Cincinnati Bearcats out of the Big 12. Their 8th tournament appearance. Jordan Bishel, the head coach. Quentin Coates, program record 28 home runs on the season. That's 2nd in the Big 12.
Keith, there's that 4th Big 12 school getting in Cincinnati, and that might be a little bit of a shocker for some, as maybe 2 more Big 12 schools to fall. You think Kansas and West Virginia obviously going to be in, but how about the Bearcats here sneaking into the Starkville regional?
Yeah, they're sneaking into Starkville. Coach Bishel's done a great job, but guys, they do not send. I'm just throwing this out here before we even get there. We have 2 schools we know that are going to be in, Kansas and West Virginia. They're not going to send another Big 12 school to there. TCU is out. I don't.
What'd you say? Elimination. We're doing
I'm just doing through elimination.
Yep.
They're not going to send a school to another school in their same conference for a regional.
That's true.
TCU did not make the field. I'm stunned. That's my first take from listening to that deal. But Coach Mitchell's done a great job. Cincinnati is a team that each and every year they compete hard. They will play hard. Where they're going to struggle maybe is the depth in their pitching staff.
Yeah, got to be able to make a run at this time of the year. And if you don't have that type of depth, it's going to be tough for you. Wow.
Yeah, we knew when Texas State got in, that was probably a bad sign for TC or UTSA, and believes it's going to be TC. Okay, we're still waiting. Will the Big 12 get 1 or 2 teams as a regional host? Let's find out with the number 15 overall seed.
National seed. Let's do this, America. Let's go to Kansas and Hoagland Ballpark. Big 12 tournament champs for the first time in 20 years. Regular season champs for the first time in 77 years. 42 wins, the 4th most in program history. Congratulations to Dan Fitzgerald and the Jayhawks. They will face the Northeastern Huskies out of the CAA and head coach Mike Glavin, 5 wins short of 400. There in his 12th season. They lead all of Division I with 209 stolen bases. They'll be running around that Hoagland Ballpark. Keep track of the Huskies there. Who else is headed there? The Missouri State Bears out of Conference USA, their 13th tournament appearance and their first since 2022, leading the league in scoring. They will face a team that probably wishes they weren't traveling this weekend, the Arkansas Razorbacks, their 37th tournament appearance. Cam Koziel, home run from the SEC tournament, I think just landed moments ago.
So there we go. Kansas, number 15 seed, and with Arkansas being the 3 seed Hardge, I believe we're going to expect now West Virginia to be that final regional host as the 16 seed. With the Razorbacks already in, USC already in, Ole Miss, Oregon State, that has to leave the Mountaineers as the number 16 overall seed. But your thoughts here from this Lawrence Regional, Kansas being a regional host?
Well, Kansas, they've earned it. They've worked their behinds off, and, you go 22-8 in the Big 12. They've done a really good job. But Arkansas is the team that they're tough. And they're playing good baseball. Obviously, you win the SEC tournament. I mean, you get to the SEC championship game and lose to Georgia, but your team played well. Your pitching was where it needed to be, and you got some guys that started swinging the bat. So if I'm Kansas, I'll be a little bit worried when it comes to seeing Arkansas on the schedule if they can get through round number one.
I don't I don't look at betting or betting odds, but the odds I think in this one would not. The home team usually has the highest odds.
Right.
I'm not sure about this particular time. That ballpark is a ballpark, especially when it gets this time of year in the summer. The wind blows more of westerly out there, and that's out to left field. There's some big pines there. Arkansas's got some guys that'll go over the pines.
No doubt.
I'm just telling you, this is a physical ball club. Kansas played so well and have done so many things. Boy, they drew a tough. This is a tough draw right here.
I agree.
I like Arkansas in this regional, even though I just got through seeing Kansas, and boy, Vogeli is outstanding on the mound. I mean, he's an All-American pitcher. So they're going to put him close to the vest because he ain't pitching in that first one. He'll be pitching against the Razorbacks on Saturday.
So we head to the final number 16 overall seat. We expect it to be West Virginia. One bubble team left to go. I believe Binghamton is the only automatic qualifier we have not gotten to.
Yep.
So will this next bubble team be Kentucky from the Southeastern Conference? Will it be Mercer? Or maybe do we see a school from Texas and San Antonio sneak in? Here's the number 16 overall seed. We expect to be West Virginia.
Later on, Kansas is the number 15 seed, and your final regional host is West Virginia. Steve Saban's in his second season. He was an assistant under Coach Mazey for years. They're one win away from back-to-back 40-win seasons for the first time in program history. Enjoy your non-alcoholic beverages, boys. Their 17th NCAA appearance. Morgantown is going to be rocking as they welcome in the Binghamton Bearcats out of the America East. Their 7th tournament appearance, 3rd conference crown in 5 years. Regular season champs as well. Tied a school record with 31 wins. Congratulations to Binghamton. Who else is in? Oh, the Kentucky Wildcats are in. Nick Mingione's team, their 11th tournament appearance, teetering perhaps a little bit. Lost 8 of 10 weekend series in the SEC, but able to get into this field. And they will face, this is a tough regional, the Wake Forest Deacons, the Demon Deacons. Head coach Tom Walter. They had to wait for the last one. Like, we're in this, right? Yes, you are. Your 18th tournament appearance. Luke Costello, Dalton Wentz. Really good team. Chris Lavonis.
So the West Virginia Mountaineers are the final regional host, and the Kentucky Wildcats, the last bubble team to get in. That means no UTSA, Keith. That means no TCU.
Surprising. I am surprised. I mean, obviously, we talked about some teams that were regular season champions. You were thinking, well, a team like Mercer, you're saying, here they got 44 wins. They're the regular season champion. You just count on them winning. But when they don't, they get left out. For TCU, I felt like they needed to go out and play really well out in Surprise, Arizona.
Yep.
They got beat in the first round. I think they needed to show something there. But the surprising of all this is UTSA.
Yeah.
Coach Hallmark has always done an outstanding job. I think that's a ball club. I think they're one of the best 64 teams in the country. But, unless we expand,
right,
this is what we got.
And a shout out to Texas State. Being able to get in there. You mentioned it, playing really good baseball down the stretch. 7 out of the last 10 have been victorious, and they've played some quality opponents. They were on that bubble the final weekend of the season, and they had to get that series against Manhattan.
Yep.
And then boom, now everything else has everything taken care of. I mean, Marshall, excuse me, not Manhattan. But you got a chance to see exactly this team trend in the right direction, got hot in the committee's eyes, and here they are now getting an opportunity to play.
It's fantastic. And just let's look forward here a little bit.
Exactly.
Washington State will be in the new pack.
Yep.
Oregon State in the new pack. Texas State gets in. This is an anomaly that Dallas Baptist is not in this. And it has been the only down year that Coach Hefner's had in forever.
Exactly.
So, you're looking at that in the future. Gonzaga has, over the last 15 years, has been in the field 2/3 of the time.
Right.
So in the future, that's going to be a really good league. And then you got Oregon State, obviously, in that league as well. So this is going to be a really good San Diego State, who did not make the tournament this time. So that's going to be a really good league in the future. So bodes well in the last year of the Sun Belt that Texas State gets in. And Coach, congratulations to the Bobcats and Coach Trout.
The top 16 national seeds: number 1, UCLA; number 2, Georgia Tech; number 3, Georgia; number 4, Auburn; number 5, UNC; number 6, the Texas Longhorns; Alabama; number 7, Florida; number 8, a run of SEC schools; and then Southern Miss at number 9, Florida State 10, the Oregon Ducks 11. Remember, the 6-11 regionals will match up against each other in the supers. That's Texas in the Oregon regional. Texas A&M at number 12. The committee had us for a moment there. Had us for a second. Nebraska 13, Mississippi State 14, and then Kansas at 15, West Virginia at 16 for back-to-back Big 12 schools to round out the top 16 national seats. We need a break. We're going to come back. We're going to get Keith and Hardge's thoughts overall on the bracket. We're also going to hear from Jim Schlossnagle one-on-one with Craig Way, and then Craig Way will join live from the 40 acres to get his thoughts on the NCAA baseball tournament bracket. We'll be back after this.
Wake up with Hardge and Henry in the morning kickoff.
Dave's Hot Chicken. They came and dropped it off yesterday.
The one that I got was incredibly delicious. But I was like, this is not hot. Marcus was over here choking.
Why is it spicy?
About to die. As I got ready to take a bite, Hard said, hey, you don't do that right before Coach comes on? So I put it down and I licked my fingers. Oh, my God. They should change the name from Reaper to Regret.
Weekdays at 7.
It happens only once a year in Las Vegas.
Our legendary iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One,
Is back.
Reach for your hands in the air.
One stage, 2 nights.
Are you ready?
featuring the biggest names in music. Live, loud, and always full of surprises.
We're getting this party going, huh?
Hear it live on iHeartRadio and streaming live on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Listen for the reveal of our 2026 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Tuesday morning, June 2nd at 7.
At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, upgrade to a Tempur-Pedic and learn how you can get 3% back plus an instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
It's a sale. Right now, every service needed for your vehicle is on sale at any of the 3 Leif Johnson Ford locations, Austin, Manor, and Buda. And we're wide open. Tires, brakes, oil changes for only $39.99 with synthetic blend oil, tire rotations, and alignments. You name it. Any of the 3 Central Texas locations have it on sale. Can't come see us? We'll come see you with our mobile van on most services, or we'll come pick it up and bring it back. Go to leafjohnson.com and pick your location and time. You'll love it at Leaf, Austin, Buda, and Manor.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. What are your rights and responsibilities? Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Austin, San Antonio, and St. Louis.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. If you manage a business or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way. Call 844-844-iHeart. Again, that's 844-844-iHeart.
The Milken Center for Advancing the American Dream is celebrating America's 250th One Dream at a Time. Next, Cindy Citrone, minority owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
When I was diagnosed, my breast surgeon looked at me and said to me, "This is going to be a horrendous year, but you are going to survive." That's a symbol of where we've come. My mother passed from breast cancer. I don't want my daughters to have breast cancer. And the American dream is having that hope.
Discover more at mcad.org.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
When 60 Minutes premiered in September 1968, there was nothing like it.
We realize, of course, that new approaches are not always instantly accepted.
I'm Seth Doan of CBS News, and I'm excited to introduce a new podcast from 60 Minutes called A Second Look. The team at 60 Minutes has spent the last year digging through thousands of tapes, transcripts, and reels of film. And you're about to hear some of the sound that was never broadcast, like 21-year-old Taylor Swift imagining her future success.
Sometimes I get really overwhelmed when I think about, like, 10 years from now, I'll be 30. What's the sound then? What are the choices I've made at that point? Oh my God, what does my life look like?
Then there are the people you may not recognize by name, but who witnessed some of the most important events in modern history. Along the way, I'll speak with some of the legendary correspondents who reported the stories, as well as those whose lives were altered after sitting down with 60. Together, we'll hear how much our world has changed.
You're working in borrowed time. You're not just saying that to scare us.
And how it hasn't.
You were either for the books or against the books. And it was almost like a civil war.
You can really draw a bright red line from 74 to 2024.
It's time for A Second Look.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
From the Audio-Visual Consultation Studios, Sports Radio 1300 The Zone, KDET AM Austin, your home for the Horns, and the #1 preset in your car and on the free iHeart Radio app.
Meet a successful local CEO each week on CEOs You Should Know. This week, learn about Michael Crowell, President and CEO of UFCU. Listen this weekend or visit our website to learn more.
If you care about predictions, you care about props. And right now, it's all about playoff pressure. From the hardwood to the ice, every possession, every shift, every shot matters. BetOnline has always been the home of real sports betting, with the freedom to play on your terms. Backed with better odds, real rewards, and faster payouts. With the basketball and hockey playoffs heating up, BetOnline delivers live in-game action and the best odds that move with every bucket, every breakaway, every goal. BetOnline. Bet on.
Hey, it's Hannah from Central Texas #1 Sports Bar.
Back here on our NCAA Baseball Championship Selection Special, Cameron Parker alongside Mike Hardball Hardge and Keith Moreland, as we have found out the top 16 national seeds in the overall baseball tournament. All 64 teams have been announced, and the Texas Longhorns are the #6 overall seed, the Austin Regional. They will host Holy Cross in the first game, and we do have first pitch times, y'all, Friday at noon, and you'll be able to listen to our coverage live beginning at 11:45 a.m. Craig Way and Keith Moreland on the call right here on the Zone. No, Keith Moreland's not in the call.
I'm working at NCAA.
That's right,
I'm here. I don't know where. I'm looking at my phone, figuring out where I'm
going.
You're
going. All right. Roger Wallace, I believe, and Keith Moreland. Roger Wallace and Greg Way on the call. Keith Moreland will be somewhere else.
I don't know. I'm one of 16 sites, put it that way.
Maybe in Austin as well.
I hope it's in Austin.
And then Tarleton State and UC Santa Barbara Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time. That's the 2-3 seed. So let's go ahead and break down this regional, guys. I'm curious how Jim Schlossnagle and Max Wiener decide who will start this game, because for USCB, Jackson Flora, and if you don't know that name yet,
get to know it.
1.05 ERA this season. That's not a typo, folks. 1.05 ERA. He will probably be a top 5 pick. Hell, he might be the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 MLB draft. But how do the Gauchos go about picking their pitching strategy, and how does Texas go about it, Keith? What do we see from Jim Schlossnagle, and do we see Dylan Salantes start on Friday, or do we wait and see him on Saturday?
You know, I've just got to say that he's been the Friday night guy. You got to win the first one to get to the second one, but there are times that also when you look at the makeup of what you've got to do, you look at it and go, you know, we're going to hold him back. I don't know that. That'll be something that the staff and Coach Schloss will get together. But you're going to see a lot of that. We've seen that over the years where you look at the matchup, the 1-4 matchup in a regional in the 16 sites, and you think that our number 2 or our number 3 guy in our rotation should probably be able to handle this game, and you go out and do that. There's no gives. You know, nobody's going to give you anything.
Nope.
So you got to go out and win it. But, you know, I don't have any insight into this, but I know that there are guys that have a star on the mound that they're going to, I would think both teams would hold them back.
Right.
That's just my gut feeling.
So let me ask you this, because obviously last year is last year and we don't like to look in the rearview mirror, but there is something to be said about last year's performance as well for Texas. You know, Texas did not play good baseball last year. They were shorthanded basically when Spencer got hurt, and it kind of changed the dynamic of what this team was going to be. But to your point, you got to go out there and win game 1.
Yeah, you did.
And so you got to figure out, can my guy, number 2 or number 3, that I would normally have pitch the second game, can I get enough from him on that first start? If that was the case, then I would go with Luke Harrison, if that was going to be my thought process.
Yeah.
If I'm going to save Dylan, I'm going with Luke.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree. Those have been the two most consistent guys that you have. And you obviously the bullpen has been good. You've got some guys in the back of the bullpen. And if Luke can go out and give you some distance in that first one, get that one done, then it puts you in such a great shape in game 2, because it's a numbers game. You just want to put yourself in the position on Saturday to win Saturday's game, because that just puts you in so much better position. You saw last year when UTSA found a way to win that Saturday night ball game. Texas you were going to have to win 2 on Sunday, and then you got to come back and win 1 on Monday. So it just puts you so deep, and it just stresses your staff so much to not be in the winner's quote unquote winner side of the bracket.
Yeah, thinking back to last year, you know, Texas number 2 overall seed beat Houston Christian the first game, but then lost to UTSA, a game they led from the jump, but lost on the 7, had the win 2 on Sunday, beat Kansas State, and then lost the UTSA to be sent home early, just ran out of pitching there. So, I mean, if you're Jim Schlossnagle, you want to avoid losing that game on Saturday. Obviously, you want to win Friday.
Right.
But you do not want to end up on the loser side of things, especially with how banged up the bullpen is right now.
Yeah, and I think Hardge is absolutely right. I from my opinion, I would be looking right now that Luke Harrison's got the ball on Friday, and let's get ourselves to Saturday, and then you got Volantis and Cozart to try to finish it out on Saturday and put yourself in a great position to say, all right, we can go win 1 out of 4.
No doubt.
Or 1 out of 3, excuse me.
So looking at the first 4 teams that were in and out, a big discussion, was it going to be Texas State, UTSA, TCU? Michael Alford, the chairman of the NCAA Baseball Committee, has just on an interview with ESPN, and here is the last 4 teams in, guys, and the first 4 out, rather, and get your reaction. Last 4 in: Liberty, Kentucky, that 12th SEC school getting in, Texas State, Troy, and the first 4 out: Mercer, Michigan, Pitt, TCU. And then, of course, that means UTSA after the first 4 out. But, Keith, your initial thoughts of this?
Well, let's start. Pitt, man, unbelievable run in the ACC tournament, playing their best baseball of the year. I'm sure they're sitting there stunned that they're sitting on the outside looking in. I am stunned about Kentucky. I think that is interesting that they're in. So I'm going to use both sides of the factor. TCU has struggled, and I think that first loss in the Big 12 tournament, Surprise Arizona, just was a devastating blow to the Horned Frogs. If they find a way to get themselves into the quarterfinals, I think they put themselves in a better position. So looking at those two, the one that's not even mentioned there that I go to are the Roadrunners. That's a good ball club that's sitting home that could do a damage in one of these regionals if they were to have been given the opportunity.
I want to go back to the Kentucky Wildcats. The thing that stood out to me was that they lost 8 of the 10 series in the SEC this year, but yet they were finding a way to get into the tournament. I was like, if they would have won 4 of, or maybe 5 of them, half of them, I would say, oh, okay, yeah, you know what the SEC is, but only to win 2 of the 10 series that you were part of, and now you found a way to get in. He was politicking at the tournament as well, as most coaches do at this time of year, and that's only when you don't feel like your team is strong enough by the metrics of what we saw.
But their RPI, you got checking out RPI.
Yep.
I mean, there is, you play in the SEC, you're going to have high RPI. Look at Oklahoma's RPI. They have had some times where they've struggled throughout the year, but their RPI stayed way up there because they're playing in the SEC.
Yep, and that's what ended up getting them over the hump. But wow, 8 of the 10 series were losses.
Yeah,
that's tough weekends. That's tough weekends.
SEC garnering 12 teams into the NCAA baseball tournament, by far the most. Texas, one of them. They'll be the number 6 overall seed. And up next, Craig Way will visit with the head coach of Texas baseball, Jim Schlossnagle, as our NCAA Baseball Selection Show continues after this.
Central Texas #1 sports bar, Rowdy Cowboy. If you love the Longhorns as much as Rowdy does, you will have to watch all the action on our 69 big screen TVs while enjoying ice-cold beer, craft cocktails, and our Texas-sized menu. And check out our Monday and Friday steak specials. So saddle up and head to Rowdy Cowboy, located off I-35 in Round Rock. Let's get rowdy. Visit us at Go Rowdy Cowboy.
The Spurs dismantled the Thunder 103-82 to even the Western Conference Finals at 2 games apiece. Victor Wembanyama, named to the All-NBA first team, scored 33 in the win. Texas softball beat Arizona State 5-0 in Game 3 of their Super Regional to reach the Women's College World Series. Will face Tennessee Thursday. The Astros beat the Cubs to sweep the series in Chicago. I'm Ronza Moss.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And guess what?
We created our own podcast called
Hey Jonas.
We invented a podcast?
Well, we didn't invent it. We just contributed to it.
We're the first people to do podcasts. We get to ask other people questions because we're sick and tired of being asked questions.
Well, sick and tired is a strong way to put it, but
tired and sick.
Tired and sick.
Listen to Hey Jonas on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow Hey Jonas and start listening on the free iHeartRadio app today.
The free iHeartRadio app is #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one. Discover a new podcast from our library of over 350,000 titles. Here's an iHeartRadio podcast preview.
Hi, we're not here right now, but we'll call you back if you leave your name and number.
If you aren't of the age to remember, the answering machine was a physical audio recorder that plugged into your phone line.
Hi, Dad, this is Aaron.
You couldn't call into it remotely. You had to wait till you got home to check your messages.
America's produced lots and lots of stuff, just piles of stuff. The fact of the matter is all day long, every day, there are warehouses full of stuff getting just pushed off a cliff. All day, every day.
That's Ian Nagoski, who runs the Canary Records label.
A friend of mine said that what he loves is being the guy standing at the edge of the cliff, waving his arms, going, wait, no, let me look at those first before you throw them away. I think there might be some good stuff in there. I think there might be some stories. I don't think we should throw all those away yet.
We have a season, 10 episodes of stories from that realm, of things that were just barely saved, and in some cases, not saved at all. A bizarre tale of 2 infamous New Yorkers.
They booby-trapped their home and turned it into the sealed fortress of ephemera.
a missing chapter of American music history.
There hasn't been a guess culturally that they matter. So they get thrown in the garbage.
A decade's worth of original television lost to the airwaves.
It's over. It's ephemeral. You're going to see something else the next second and nobody's ever going to see it.
A piece of music that's defied convention for 70 years.
I had students write down the sounds they heard during it, and one girl said, I never realized there was so much to listen to.
And what could only be called an audio mystery.
It said nothing on it, and it clearly had been recorded, which intrigued me. What is this going to be?
These stories and more given new life, if only for a glimpse. Is this podcast a piece of ephemera in the making? A forgotten story about forgotten stories.
Texas baseball is back. Catch every big hit.
This one out to deep left center. You can say goodnight to it.
Every strikeout.
Strike free call. Got him looking.
Every big play.
Dives. He made the catch. He made the catch.
Of Longhorns baseball all season long on 1300 The Zone and streaming free on the iHeartRadio app.
Back here on our NCAA Baseball Selection Show, the Texas Longhorns under Jim Schlossnagle, back-to-back seasons. They will be a top 8 national seed, the number 6 overall seed this season. And Craig Way visited with head coach Jim Schlossnagle just a few minutes ago to discuss the Longhorns selection.
I heard you mention this to the media. It was something I wanted to ask you. This is something as great as it is, and even the expectation being is you don't take it for granted, and I imagine your players don't as well.
They don't know enough, you know. I mean, they haven't been around enough. They haven't sat in a room. In 1997, we had 40 or 42 wins at Tulane, and that was a 48-team field. We had finished second in the league. We played the championship game of the conference tournament. We thought for sure we were in, and literally 10 seconds before the show started, that was back when fax machines were still a thing, Baseball America faxed the bracket to our SID, and we had TV cameras in the locker room and everything, and we had to please ask them to leave, and we had to tell 7 seniors that their careers were over. And so when you've been through that and where you've been on the bubble where you don't know, I never, ever take it, think that this is a sure thing or take it for granted, even though obviously we knew we were going to be in. So, yes, this is a great day.
Toward that end, and before we get to talking your team, somebody asked you if you'd taken a look at the bracket. It's all fleeting and all that other kind of stuff, but seeing TCU not get in, UTSA not get in, Texas State does get in. There's a lot on that cup line. I know that was crossing through the minds of friends of yours. They're in this business.
Yeah, excited for. I should have said that over there. Excited for Steven Trout, one of my former players. Like, so excited for him. Disappointed for TCU. Obviously, UTSA, outstanding program. We've seen what they're capable of doing, both in a regular season and a postseason. So it just shows you, man. Like, every game has so much value. And I'm sure all those coaches that didn't get in, you can look back and say, man, this particular game or that game, or if this player's not hurt, whatever. It's a thin line these days. There's so many good baseball programs.
You laid out how you wanted your guys to work in Hoover, especially your pitching. And then you said the way that it's set up, we had to get some work done. You said, but I hate it. I hate the losing part of it. Did you see that on the part of your players when you came back and, hey, we got to jump right back into work and get to work and start getting ready for postseason?
So far, so good. We've had 2 good workouts, very intentional, good energy. No one kind of rolling their eyes and saying, why are we practicing on this particular day? Or why are we practicing as soon as we get off the bus? I think that's, comes from good leadership, but we still have work to do. And, they're going to feel it. I can tell you they're going to feel it from me in the right way. Like, I want our team to play loose. I want them to get rest. I want them to feel awesome as you can possibly feel this time of year. But at the same time, I need them to feel that, again, nothing works unless you do. We have to be more intentional with what we're doing.
Let me get your thoughts on your regional and start with your opponent, because I know coaches want to zero in on the first opponent. How much of it, even in this modern age of getting a lot of things on video and a lot of digital things to you pretty quickly, how much of a challenge is it for you and for the staff to get everything ramped up on a Holy Cross, a team coming from a one-bid league like the Patriots?
It depends on the league, right? And so, some leagues are on television more or the quality of the feed, it may be a, high home camera that's just doing some games, so you don't get to see quite as much, or some programs that in those conferences don't have TrackMan, and that's where you get a lot of the analytical numbers. Of course, they'll have everything on us, when you're playing in an SEC school. So, but at the end of the day, you have to play good baseball. I know they're stolen over 100 bases. I think they have the player of the year, and they're has like 45 plus stolen bases. Great player. So, they have a style of play, which will have to be, luckily when you're playing Tarleton and UTSA, and we didn't play Kentucky this year, but Vandy, some of the teams that really like to put pressure on you with the run game and the bunt game, that's what prepares you for Holy Cross. So you can go back to, okay, guys, remember when we play this team, like this is where our focus has to be. But at the end of the day, you got to throw strikes. You have 2 out hits and make routine plays. If you do that, you got a great chance.
I know you know Tarleton really well, having had them in town. UCSB, everybody knows about Jackson Flora, and it'll be interesting to see if they pitch him against Tarleton. That's where all that game stuff works out there. But how much you know about the Gauchos other than Flora?
Not much. I haven't paid attention. I know Andrew Checketts is the head coach. I know he's a great pitching guy. They've had unbelievable success, frankly, outside of UCLA and I guess USC this year. But Santa Barbara has been the most consistent Southern California program, and I think they have a very unique niche in that Santa Barbara is a great school, and they play almost all their games on the West Coast. So, if I'm the coach at Santa Barbara, I'm selling, which is what I'm assuming what he does is I'm selling like, hey, if you want to play in Southern California and play in front of your family and friends, and both your home games and your road games can all be in SoCal, this is where to be. If you go to UCLA or USC, half your games are going to be, elsewhere in the Big Ten. So they have really good players and a great history of winning, and they've always pitched. And they have pitchers way beyond Flora, and he's awesome. So the whole thing's going to be a handful.
And then Tarleton, really well.
Yeah. Tarleton know them really well. They run bases. They're not just run bases because they're talented at base running. They're super fast. It's one of the fastest teams we played all year. Throw a ton of strikes, pitch well out of the bullpen, and just playing with a lot of good energy, a lot of good mojo. I love that. I love Stephenville. I love everything that town stands for and that school stands for. And so super excited for them, for Fuller, the head coach, to get him in the NCAA tournament. I remember when they went to Division I, the previous coach, when I was at TCU, I called him and said, hey, we want to come play there, because I felt like, not that, we were some special place, but I felt like we had a responsibility to help them grow their program, because that then in turn gave us a good RPI team to go play when Stephenville's not that far from Fort Worth. So I really love the evolution of that program and excited for them.
When it comes to Friday, how much of the examination of Holy Cross goes into what you decide to do with who you start on Friday and how you break it down and who you line up to pitch on Friday before you even get to thinking about the rest of the weekend?
Some goes into it, and with each individual team, if you had we developed a legit, fourth starter, which it actually was Cozart until we put him in the bullpen, that could play into it. But, we haven't really had that yet. I'm not saying that we don't have someone who can do it, but more than likely, we're not going to mess with the game too much, and we'll just have to do our best one day at a time.
Final thing here with the guys, how much you want them to relax and enjoy the moment and the experience, especially since they get to play at home, in addition to all the work that's got to go in.
Well, there's plenty of hours in the day now, right? There's nothing else. There's no school. There's no study hall. There's none of that stuff. So I think they want to be together. I want them for today. They're going to get a lift in, and then they're going to go enjoy a Memorial Day. I think some guys are going to go play golf and do some different things. We can't practice today because we still have to take one day off a week. So that's why we practiced on Saturday. That's why we practiced yesterday. Monday's normally our off day, so we're treating this Monday like a Monday. You hear the football coaches talk. So tomorrow will be our Tuesday, and we're just going to do it in the morning instead of at night. Play 6, 7 innings, and then have our normal practices leading up to the weekend.
Appreciate the time.
All right, thanks, Rick.
All right.
Texas baseball hosting Holy Cross this Friday, 11:45 airtime right here on the Zone. Craig Way and Roger Wallace will have the call. 12 o'clock first pitch, and they will face either the winner or the loser of the 2-3 matchup, Tarleton State and UC Santa Barbara. Up next, Craig Way joins us live from the Hall of Fame Club inside of Memorial Stadium as our NCAA Baseball Selection Show continues after this.
For all the things you have to do and places you need to be, let Uber take you there. Because there are nights out, airport trips, and car troubles in your area, there are drivers in your area. Uber. Request a ride today. Wait time varies. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Pantalones Organic Tequila. Because tequila is fun. Pantalones.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $700, plus get a free adjustable base with select Sealy Posturepedic mattresses. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Hardball Hardge for Covert, Ford, and Hutto. Trucks go head-to-head to win your trust, and Ford is coming in hot. Save $6,766 on a new 2026 Ford F-150 STX, or save up to $7,646 on a new 2026 Ford Explorer. Or why not get behind the wheel of a Ford Bronco Big Bend with $4,336 off? Big trucks, big savings. Come and see us at Highway 79 in Hutto, or shop for a deal anytime at covertfordhutto.com.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
Chicago, 1989.
White victim, female, pretty, wealthy.
A white woman's murder shocks the city. A black man from the projects comes forward with information about the case.
He says the police are his friends.
But out of nowhere, he goes from star witness to prime suspect.
And then that's it. They turn on him.
The system is hungry for a conviction. Lee Harris is sentenced to 90 years.
I get 90 years for killing somebody I have never seen.
Behind bars, Lee finds an unlikely ally in his cellie, Robert. The pair are like chalk and cheese. There's no way their paths would ever cross on the outside. But as a fellow inmate, Robert sees through the lies and vows to do the unthinkable. Clear Lee's name.
This is a prepaid collect call from an inmate at Pontiac Correctional Center.
If you're with me, you're golden. I'll take care of you.
Oh, I'm gonna be with you. You stuck with me for life.
Together, they wage a 20-year war against Chicago's darkest corners. Corrupt detectives, jailhouse informants, an entire system built on fear. This is the Crying Wolf Podcast. A story of two men bound by injustice. A friendship forged where hope is almost lost. Of a city haunted by its secrets. And the quest for redemption. No matter the price. Listen to the Crying Wolf Podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
On this Memorial Day, expect a classic late spring weather pattern across the central and southern plains, including Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. Expect thunderstorms with some becoming severe with large hail, damaging winds, and torrential rainfall. Highs will range from the 70s in Colorado and Nebraska to the upper 80s and low 90s in Texas and Oklahoma. In the Midwest and Great Lakes, including Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan, expect showers and thunderstorms developing with highs mainly in the 70s to the low 80s. 80s. The deep south and the Gulf Coast remain hot, humid, and unsettled, with temperatures reaching the low 90s and possible scattered storms. The Northeast will hit near 80, while the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast climb into the 80s with a few possible scattered thunderstorms. Heat is on in the desert Southwest, with temperatures in the 90s to the low 100s across Arizona and southeastern California, while the California coast remains sunny and dry, with temperatures in the 70s in the northern part and into the low 80s in Southern California. And the Pacific Northwest remains cooler, with clouds, scattered showers, and highs hitting the 60s. That's your national forecast. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Back here for our NCAA Baseball Championship Selection Show, and joining us live now from the 40 acres, he was there for the Texas Longhorns baseball watch party as Texas has earned the number 6 overall national seed. He is Craig Way, and he will be on the call with Roger Wallace on Friday, 11:45 airtime right here on the Zone as Texas takes on Holy Cross. So, Craig, first off, good afternoon. Your initial reaction to this unveiling, and what was the vibe like there on the 40 acres?
Cam, good afternoon. Happy holidays to all three of you fellas. It was, I think it was a mixture of the excitement to see your name on the board and the live video, the live shot of them sitting there, kind of tempered with the expectation of what they feel that they need to do and going back to work. And that was part of the reason why, and, the conversation that we just aired with Jim Schlossnagle about mixing the excitement and not taking it for granted in with the urgency of the moment to begin to prepare. Because I'm here to tell you guys, in Hoover, after they lost, it would be really easy and logical for everybody to look and say, look, he got his 2 innings out of Dylan Volandis that he wanted to get. He got his 2 innings out of Luke Harrison that he wanted to get. Bullpen, by and large, pitched very well after the rocky start there from Cody Howard. And even he told the regular media assemblage that he really thought Cody did a pretty solid job because he was a strike thrower. It's just that a really good team like Arkansas is going to hit the ball. So there was that. But I can tell you, afterwards, back at the hotel, he was not happy at all. And there was a team meeting afterwards. And Jim doesn't do an awful lot of closed door team meetings. And there was a lot of that. And it was about going back to work. And it was about dedicating themselves to the purpose of what's to come. And so when they got back, they went back to work on Saturday and on Sunday, and they had to have a day off today, but they'll go back to work tomorrow. So I think it was a mixture of all of that, Cam.
Craig, one of the first things that jumps off the page of me when you look at it, you don't have a lot of time yet. They don't have a lot of advance notice, so it's not like you ask the question to Slosh about, what do you know about these teams? It will take them 24 hours to sort of put something together of what they want to do and their pitching formats and what they want to do and that kind of thing. But do you have any idea, just right off the bat, your gut feeling of what he may be thinking about on the mound?
I think, Keith, once they get a good read on exactly what Holy Cross does. And you're right. And you know this, and I know this in basketball and in baseball, and obviously in football, but there's ways to get the information pretty fast and the video pretty fast of what you need. But he made a very good point when he was talking about, some conferences don't use TrackMan and some, there's a little less accessibility to some of the things. Sure. But I do think they'll have enough. I mean, it would be unwise to throw a blanket over Holy Cross and say, well, they're a 4 seed. We've seen those surprises happen. But to address your question, I think some of that might come down to what they expect to see UCSB do against Tarleton. I think everybody wants to see, is Jackson Flora going to start against Tarleton, or will Andrew Checketts roll the dice and try to see if they can get a win and save Flora for a one-on-one matchup with Volandis on Saturday night, which would be obviously prime viewing. It'd be must-see, must-watch TV, I think. But, I think that's part of the reason why he had Cody Howard start. And
I know Cade Bean comes to mind, of guys that maybe he feels they can piece it together with their offense. And you've seen it with your own eyes, Keith. We've both seen it, how a team can come in, their eyes get really big, a 4 seed playing in that ballpark. I don't think that'll be the case with UCSB, and we certainly won't be the case with Tarleton because they've been there and won there. But I do think there is the chance we may see someone who isn't the regular starter go, one of the weekend starters go. Some of this also will depend on Ruger Riojas. If Ruger is healthy enough and can go on Sunday, you could see him flip it and go with Luke Harrison on Friday. It would not surprise me to see that be the case as well.
Yeah, Craig, I wanted to ask you this because the story is about the teams that did not get in. Obviously we knew Texas was going to be able to be a host and was in great position. But you think about UTSA and what happened with them. You also look at TCU, some of these traditional teams, they got bubble watched, and the bubble ended up bursting on them because of some of the other automatic bids. What was your thoughts on seeing those teams in particular not being in the tournament?
Well, I'll tell you this, Hardge. At about 11 o'clock last night, and I have a buddy who's kind of plugged into some of the stuff, and he sends me some information on some of the teams and things. So I had a pretty good idea who was coming to Austin. But then on one of the texts he sent me, he had Texas State in and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what about UTSA and TCU? And he said, out. And I'm like, really? And he said, out. Texas State will be in, and they're going to send them to College Station. So I thought, well, good for Texas State, and we heard Jim talk about that for Stephen Trout. And I think here's the thing: the Sun Belt Conference has drawn a lot more respect now. When you look at the teams that are getting into it, that they got 5 schools in. So right. I mean, when you look at that and say, okay, you knew Southern Miss was in and they were going to host. You knew Coastal was in, although they were going to have to be on the road. Then the whole weekend of that Sun Belt tournament, and that's part of the reason why I drove down to Montgomery to see some of those games, was, who were the other teams on the bubble that could get in, and how much would their performance in Montgomery and also over at Troy, since they had to split the tournament due to rain and shift half of it 85 miles to the east, how was all that going to play out? And I think what happened was Troy, Louisiana, and Texas State all did enough in that tournament to supplement solid RPIs to get in. We saw the deal on the bracket. Troy was the last team in. And it was amazing that I was most surprised that they got in, but getting to the semifinals like Texas State did, in addition to their body of work, I think is what put them over the top. We knew Louisiana was going to get in. Good RPI, and they had made the run all the way to the championship. They had to beat Texas State twice on Saturday to get to the final. They did. Southern Miss obviously was the best team in the whole thing, and Coastal was going to get in. So all of that sparks the trickle down. That, and then 2 other teams, Kentucky being a bubble team getting in, and then Missouri State, a bubble team that was going to have to get in. They had the RPI of like 23, so they were going to get in. So then who was going to be left out? And for TCU to be bubble out 2 of the last 3 years, and now UTSA, which finished second in the conference. Think of it this way, fellas. They lost to East Carolina 1-0. They missed out on the tournament field by 1 run. If they win that game, they're in, and I don't know if ECU gets in. So that's what it came down. And the strength of the league in the Sun Belt is better than the strength of the league in the American Athletic Conference right now.
Greg, as we get ready for this regional in Austin, I'm sure Schloss was already asked about in the media scrum following the selection show. What did you learn from last year when Texas, hosted as a number 2 overall seed? They won the first game, but lost to UTSA, then ended up losing in that second game on Sunday to be eliminated pretty early. It's a much different Texas team. Obviously now Dylan Fulantes he's come out of the closer role, now the number 1 starter here. But did you get a sense from Schloss maybe today or even the last couple of weeks here of maybe doing things a little bit differently as Texas prepares for this regional come Friday?
There may be one slight difference, Cam, and he did address it when he was asked about it, and it simply involved, the word work. And he said, we're going to err on the side of work. Last year, I think he gave them a little more time off, a little more rest, wanted to make sure guys were healthy, and he feels it kind of caught him off balance in the Saturday game against UTSA, mainly at the plate, but also on the mound. And I think his plan is not to leave any stone unturned, and that they're going to put in the work. He said they're going to do 6-7 innings of a scrimmage tomorrow. They'll continue putting work. I know Keith remembers this because when he was playing for Coach Gus, he'd go to practice everywhere. What they play, Keith? 2 9-inning games.
Oh yeah, I mean, good grief. I mean, game days were great.
That was the relief. So I think it's going to the work. I think is what is going to be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is this is a team that shouldn't worry. You're not going to worry about their health right now because of the fact is they're going to have played one game in 14 days when they tee it up Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, guys are getting their legs back. You're able to work out. You're doing things, but you don't have the sweat and the energy that comes out when you have a crowd there and the lights come on and that kind of thing. You'll still go do your work and get ready to go, but they're going to be well rested. And I understand exactly what Jim's talking about when you want to keep your bat speed up and keep, see your eye for that's why they'll probably scrimmage today. I would think not today because it's an off day, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some guys that have stuck around that, because they only have 34 left. You've got to limit your roster right now in the postseason. You know what's going. There may be some guys that are already out. We've seen that over the years, but you'll see some guys get on the mound and they'll have full-fledged inter squad as best they can. I mean, sometimes it's simulated, but it's still you'll get a chance to see some live pitching.
Yeah, and the other thing about this, Keith, I think these days here will help Aiden Robbins too, because he was still not 100% when we were in Hoover. I asked him, Roger Wallace asked him when we flew down there on Wednesday, and he said, "How you feeling?" He said, on a scale of 10, about a 7. And then I asked him the next day, or I asked him on game day, I said, "How you feeling?" That, and he said, about an 8. And Jim said it was just he really had a difficult time shaking that stomach bug. He dropped some weight. It kind of really weakened him and wore him down a little bit. And I think we saw that in the game too. He struggled at the plate in the game against Arkansas, although Nate Gackle deserves a lot of credit for that with what he did. But I just think that I think that this got him some more rest and got him a reprieve. And from having played the position, I think Carson Tenney needed a break as well. And I think he'll be fresh and ready to go. I think all the guys will be, but those two certainly come to mind.
Yeah, and then the last thing I've got to take a look at this when we can't help but look, you got to just do a little bit down the road and look at the matchup because it was very interesting as the show was going on. I thought the committee was playing a really interesting situation when it looked at it. I was stunned when I saw Oregon as 11 and A&M as 12. I thought that might have got flip-flopped.
Yeah, I was hearing last night that there was a decent chance that they were going to drop Texas to 7 and put A&M at 10 just to have that deal. And under the guise of, well, they're going to drop Texas because there's concerns about health, whether it's Ruger or whoever it is. And I was hearing that kind of stuff. And my thought on all of that, and I talked about it with Roger Walsh when we walked in, was like, this ain't about health. We know what they want to do, and we know it. So I was right there with you. I was stunned when I saw Oregon's name come up. Keith, and I'll ask you because you're friends with Mitch Canham, and you also know what Oregon State has been through this year, and you just knew they were going to put those two together because they aren't in the same conference anymore. I find it interesting that the two once and future Pac-12 teams in Oregon State and Washington State had to face off against one another, and then obviously deal with Oregon on down low. But I know you probably feel Oregon State has a decent shot to beat Oregon and wind up here in the Super Regional if the Longhorns take care of their business.
Oh, I don't think there's a doubt about it. When you take a look at it, there's not anybody in the country that as an overall staff that's better than Oregon State. I would put them in that elite category. They catch the ball. Now, they have struggled at times scoring runs, there's no doubt, but 55 miles down the road, that's going to be interesting. They draw Washington State, who played in the Mountain West, it's interesting. Oregon State and Washington State control everything in the pack and trying to get everything together. But Oregon State said, no, we'll stay independent and Washington State said, well, we'll play in the mountain. And so they end up getting in and winning that league, and that's the way they get there. But I was saying earlier, just think next year you're going to have Washington State, Oregon State, Gonzaga, who's got a good baseball program. Dallas Baptist didn't make the tournament, and that is a amazing thing because they have been on such a great run there. And in Texas State, it's going to be a pretty good. And by the way, San Diego State, who plays good baseball as well, is in that league next year. That's going to be a good league.
Yeah, no doubt. And I do believe, and I think you'll agree with me, the biggest strike against Oregon State hosting, other than playing an independent schedule, and their strength of schedule was like 56 or something like that. The other thing is they don't have Dax Whitney. And when you lose your number one guy, that's going to be taken into account. And so they're going to have to try to find a way to win that regional in Eugene without one of the country's best freshman pitchers.
You're right. There's no question.
Well, here, Craig Way and Roger Wallace on the call. 11:45 airtime this Friday. Texas hosting Holy Cross in the Austin Regional. That'll be right here on the Zone. And throughout the weekend, tune into the Zone and also on 103.1 FM. Best way to listen is on the free iHeart Radio app. And, of course, the Craig Way Show, 2 to 5 p.m. all week long. You'll hear Craig's interview with Jim Schlossnagle again tomorrow, his one-on-one sit-down following today's selection show, as well as other soundbite from Texas baseball players who were available after the show today. Craig, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, the million-dollar question, Keith, have you heard where you're headed?
No, I'm watching right here.
He's anxiously checking his phone the entire
I'm
show.
watching right here. I don't know yet.
Hopefully you get to stick around in town. That would be nice.
I did last year, so I'm hoping.
Yeah.
All right, Craig. Thank you.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Again, Craig Way Show, 2 to 5 p.m. Tomorrow, you'll hear his one-on-one interview with Jim Schlossnagle, as well as sound from Texas baseball players. And, of course, Texas baseball taking on Holy Cross this Friday, 11:45 airtime. That will be right here on the Zone. As the full schedule comes out, check our social media listings to find out what time and where you can listen to Saturday and Sunday's games as Texas looks to advance back to the Super Regionals. Okay, before I let you guys go, any final thoughts here before we close out today's show, Keith and Hardge?
My first thought is 12 teams from the SEC getting into the NCAA tournament. You want to make sure that it does go through the SEC when you get a chance to hoist the trophy. And, of course, the Texas Regional is going to be a fun regional, especially when you bring in a team like Tarleton State, who has experience here, understands what it's all about. But you also got to make sure that you get that good matchup to make sure that you advance to the Super Regional.
Sun Belt is the biggest surprise to me, getting that many teams in. Obviously, 12 in the SEC. I saw 11. Kentucky is sort of a surprise, so that's the other surprise. And most interesting regional for me will be this. Kansas is a really good baseball team. Arkansas going in there, that'll be something so much fun to watch. For me, that one, and Oregon State that matches up with Texas, those two are going to be really interesting. Those are backyard brawls right there now.
You could argue Arkansas may be one of the hottest baseball teams on the planet right now.
Right.
That run all the way to the SEC title game before losing to Georgia. Mike Hardge, listen to you tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m., the morning kickoff with Mark Henry and Marcus Spears. You'll have Jim Schlossnagle on the show Thursday. Tune in for that. Also hear a lot of sound as well from the Texas baseball media availabilities. And, of course, don't forget those ladies, guys. Mike White and Texas softball, once again, losing the first game of the Super, but winning game 2 and 3. They'll take on Tennessee this Thursday, 1:15 airtime right here on the Zone. Game 2 of the Women's College World Series as they go for back-to-back national championships. We wish the Texas ladies softball team well and hope Texas baseball can take care of business this week. Keith, hopefully
I don't know.
Travel too far, but also the same token, you want a fun regional as well.
Yeah, well, anywhere you go right now, this is going to be a fun thing to do. It's always fun this time of the year. And first and foremost, turn out, show up, be loud.
Well, tuning in here for NCAA Baseball Selection Show for Craig Way and Jim Schlossnagle. Thanks to Mike Hardge and Keith Moreland for coming in on Memorial Day. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Looking forward to catching your work throughout the week. I'm Cameron Parker. Again, we'll see you Friday, Texas taking on Holy Cross, 11:45 a.m. right here on 1300 The Zone.